Good evening. Tonight we look beyond headlines to the human stories behind today's conflicts. From the Middle East to Eastern Europe and Africa, war's impact is growing. Behind every statistic is a life, a family, a community torn apart. We'll examine 8 interconnected crises shaping our world in July 2025. These aren't just regional issues, their shockwaves are global. Understanding is the first step. Let's bear witness to the realities shaping our shared humanity. Today is July 12, 2025. Here's a snapshot of the world's current wars and crises. The Middle East remains volatile. Israel's mowing the grass doctrine now extends beyond Gaza, with strikes in Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen. The brief war with Iran has left the region on edge, with near-constant retaliatory airstrikes. Gaza's death toll has surpassed 56,000, sparking global outrage. Israel cites existential threats and Iran's nuclear ambitions as justification. The humanitarian crisis is dire. Hundreds have died seeking food aid amid chaos and gunfire. Gaza's suffering is a stark reminder of the cost of endless conflict. In the Red Sea, peace has collapsed. Houthi rebels, backed by Iran, have resumed attacks on shipping, sinking vessels and killing crew. This disrupts a vital global trade route, forcing ships to reroute and raising costs worldwide. Naval coalitions struggle to contain the threat. Calls are growing for a decisive military response led by the US and Israel. Only a strong show of force, some argue, can restore security and protect global commerce. The stakes for international trade have rarely been higher. The war in Ukraine grinds on. Russian drone strikes hit Kharkiv, including a maternity hospital, underscoring the war's brutality. Ukraine retaliates with drone raids deep inside Russia, targeting military sites. Russian forces advance slowly, but at enormous cost and without decisive breakthroughs. Experts now doubt Russia can fully seize Donetsk and Luhansk before 2028, if ever. The conflict remains a grinding stalemate with devastating consequences for civilians. The toll of this war continues to mount. Sudan's civil war has spiraled into catastrophe. Recent fighting in El Obeid killed civilians and displaced hundreds more. Over 40,000 have died since 2023. More than 10 million are now displaced. Famine and malnutrition grip the country, especially in Darfur and South Kordofan. Aid is blocked by violence, and atrocities by both sides may amount to war crimes. The world's response has been slow and inadequate. Sudan's crisis is one of the world's largest and most urgent. Ethiopia's Amhara region faces escalating violence. Federal troops and the Fano militia, once allies, are now locked in brutal conflict. Drone strikes have killed scores of civilians, including a deadly attack on a school sheltering the displaced. Reports of mass graves and indiscriminate attacks have sparked outrage. Journalists and observers are largely barred, making independent verification difficult. The conflict is fueling new waves of displacement and instability in the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia's turmoil threatens to spill across borders. Somalia's fight against al-Shabaab has intensified. The group's 2025 Shabelle offensive targets towns near Mogadishu, challenging government control. Attacks involve suicide bombings and assaults on military bases. Somali forces, African Union troops, and allied militias have pushed back, reclaiming ground. The fighting is bloody, over 570 killed since February. Both sides have suffered heavy losses in the battle for strategic towns. Somalia's stability hangs in the balance. In Myanmar's Rakhine state, conflict has reignited. The Arakan army has seized military bases and encircled key towns, threatening Chinese-backed projects. The renewed fighting has displaced over 40,000 civilians. Human rights groups warn of war crimes by both sides, including shelling and executions. Civilians are trapped between warring factions, facing grave risks. The humanitarian crisis deepens in a region already scarred by violence. Rakhine's turmoil has regional and global implications. Globally, conflict is surging. 2024 saw more state-based wars than any year since World War II. Nearly 160,000 died in direct conflict last year. Ukraine, Gaza, and Myanmar were the deadliest. Over 122 million people are now displaced worldwide. Humanitarian aid is falling short as needs skyrocket. The world's most vulnerable face worsening conditions and dimming hopes for recovery. The scale of suffering is unprecedented. The numbers are stark, but the human cost is greater still. From Gaza to Ukraine, millions endure violence and displacement. These crises are interconnected. Conflict in one region ripples across the globe. Dwindling aid and eroding humanitarian law threaten us all. Our goal is awareness, not despair. Understanding and attention are the first steps toward peace. Thank you for